In 2015, Jeffrey Thielman became president and CEO of the newly unified International Institute of New England, IINE, during a decade marked by dramatic change, adaptation, and resilience. During his second term, President Barack Obama moved away from some of the restrictive policies put in place with the launch of the War on Terror by steadily increasing the number of refugees that could be admitted to the U.S., reaching 110,000 in 2017. IINE began welcoming hundreds of refugees fleeing conflicts in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Syria, and other conflict zones throughout the world. In 2016, IINE piloted the Resettle Together community sponsorship program, creating a model for deeper collaboration with regional faith, education, and community groups on core refugee resettlement activities, like securing and furnishing apartments, meeting new arrivals at the airport and driving them to their new homes, and helping them navigate their new communities. From teaching them about the public transit system to taking them grocery shopping to helping them with medical appointments. IINE built another crucial Boston partnership in 2017 when it teamed up with the Greater Boston Food Bank to host its own food pantry. Groceries picked up from the food bank each month were made available right at IINE's Boston office to ensure that clients who were not yet eligible to work would have access to free, nutritious food year-round. To further shore up community support for newcomers, IINE turned back to the arts, continuing a tradition that began with its international folk festivals in the 1930s and 40s and was carried on with the Human Rights Watch Film Festival and Dreams of Freedom Museum in the early 2000s, with the launch of Suitcase Stories program in 2017. The program produces live performance events in which tellers share their immigration stories, including personal tales of migration and resilience, stories handed down from immigrant family members, and stories of the transformation and growth that comes from working with newcomers. In its first years, more than 2,000 audience members attended Suitcase Stories events in venues throughout Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and thousands more were reached through broadcasts on public television. Feeling deep empathy and connection with the storytellers and their subjects, many viewers were inspired to become directly involved with IINE at what would prove to be a crucial moment. In 2017, after President Donald J. Trump took office, his administration swiftly enacted immigration restrictions, the likes of which had not been seen since IIB's founding in the 1920s. The Trump administration immediately halted the U.S. refugee admissions program for 120 days and then instituted a ban on refugee admissions from several predominantly Muslim countries, including Iraq and Syria. A new policy of extreme vetting for refugees led to longer processing times and backlog applications, and the refugee admissions cap plunged from 110,000 in 2017 to 15,000 by 2021. IINE had to adjust quickly. While continuing to serve the refugees in its care, focus shifted from welcoming new arrivals to more deeply supporting vulnerable immigrants already in its communities, with English language classes, skills training, and employment support. IINE's dormant legal services program was revived to aid with citizenship applications, family reunifications, work authorization, and other crucial immigration documents. With federal support now severely diminished and much of public opinion turning against excessively cruel policies, most notably children being forcibly separated from their families at the U.S. border and held in detention facilities, IINE turned to individual donors to support its work, raising millions of dollars to fill in funding gaps and continue its services. Then, the COVID-19 pandemic sent sudden seismic shifts in services of all kinds throughout the world. All U.S. immigration was further curtailed due to health risks, regardless of how dire the needs of those seeking refuge, and refugees and immigrants already in Greater Boston were among its most hard-hit residents. Already lacking financial resources to fall back on, many who had found jobs quickly lost them as workplaces shut down. Living in small, shared apartments compounded their health risks, and language barriers and social isolation made it difficult to access timely public health information. Fiercely dedicated to protecting clients, IINE adapted quickly. An emergency relief fund was formed to raise direct monetary relief for clients most in need. IINE Boston's food pantry went mobile, and IINE delivered laptops to clients so that case management and even ESOL classes could move online. By the end of 2021, the COVID-19 pandemic had waned enough that Boston was reopening. IINE services moved from remote to hybrid, offering more flexibility than ever before. As the new presidential administration of Joseph R. Biden began reversing immigration restrictions and raising the cap on refugee admissions, IINE was able to pivot back to help newly arrived persecuted and threatened populations from throughout the world to make Boston their new home. Then, with little warning, IINE began an effort to resettle more than 500 Afghan evacuees in Boston, Lowell, and Manchester within a year, and launched another emergency assistance fund to rally the community in support in response to the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan and the subsequent Taliban takeover. Among a wave of new hires, IINE brought on many caseworkers who were themselves former Afghan refugees, as well as Dari and Pashto-speaking translators to serve these new arrivals. In the winter of 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, relentlessly pummeling civilian neighborhoods with bombs and flooding the streets with tanks and troops. By spring, 20,000 Ukrainians had found families to sponsor their resettlement throughout the U.S. through the Uniting for Ukraine, or U4U program. While host families gave them their first home in the U.S. and helped them integrate into their new communities, many came to IINE for help with complicated processes from getting work authorization to navigating immigration laws. Ukrainian case specialists joined IINE to help them. By 2023, parallel widespread conflicts had created a worldwide refugee crisis of historic proportions. In the U.S., the Biden administration redesignated several destabilized nations for temporary protected status and humanitarian parole. Included was Haiti, which had suffered a deadly combination of natural disasters and political upheaval and was now overrun by armed gangs. Thousands of Haitians embarked on long and dangerous journeys to reach Boston, home to the third largest Haitian diaspora in the U.S. Lacking the benefits and protections afforded to those officially designated as refugees, many Haitian immigrants found themselves living in state-run emergency shelters. IINE hired scores of new staff members to support them, many of them Haitian, in accessing cash assistance and immigration legal support. Public events like official city flag raisings on Haitian Independence Day helped rally community members to support their new neighbors. A new IINE Department of Shelter Services was assembled to help clients exit shelters quickly, safely, and permanently. The International Institute of New England remains a leader in the field of refugee resettlement and immigration services in the responsive and innovative programming it creates, the breadth of services it provides, the number of refugees and immigrants it serves, more individuals and families than all other agencies combined, and by spearheading advocacy initiatives in partnership with fellow providers. With the support of Bostonians, IINE will continue to welcome refugees and immigrants to Boston for the next 100 years and beyond.